5-year-old Sofia Martinez took her first steps in 3 years yesterday morning. Her parents watched through tears as their daughter, who doctors said would never walk independently, crossed the living room on her own 2 feet. The cerebral palsy that had robbed Sofia of mobility since birth hadn't changed. The muscle weakness remained. The neurological damage was still present. But somehow, impossibly, Sofia was walking. And her mother knew exactly why. For 9 days, they had prayed a novena to Carlo Acutis asking for this exact miracle. This isn't a story about gradual improvement through therapy or medical breakthrough. This is documented, sudden, medically inexplicable healing that happened overnight after a desperate mother placed her daughter's medical records on a first-class relic of Carlo Acutis and begged the teenage saint to intercede. What happened over the next 12 hours has doctors speechless, has church investigators opening a formal case, and has a family praising God for a miracle they never truly believed would happen. Subscribe immediately and turn on notifications, because Sofia's story is being investigated right now as a potential third miracle attributable to Carlo Acutis. If confirmed, it would prove that his intercession continues with the same power that brought about his canonization. The medical documentation exists. The witnesses are credible, and the video evidence of Sofia's first steps is spreading across Catholic communities worldwide. Sofia Martinez was born with severe cerebral palsy affecting all 4 limbs. From birth, her muscle tone was dangerously low. Her movements were limited and uncoordinated. By age 2, when most children are running and climbing, Sofia could barely hold her head up independently. Her parents, Maria and Carlos Martinez, from Los Angeles, California, spent years in physical therapy, trying every treatment doctors suggested. Progress was minimal and frustratingly slow. By Sofia's 5th birthday last month, reality had set in. Multiple neurologists confirmed what her parents had been resisting. Sofia would never walk independently. Her cerebral palsy was too severe. The neurological pathways that control movement hadn't developed properly. Even with a walker, Sofia could only take a few supported steps before her muscles gave out. Independent walking was medically impossible. Drop a comment below if you or someone you love has received a diagnosis where doctors use the word impossible or never. That's exactly the moment when prayer becomes our only hope and our greatest weapon. Maria Martinez describes herself as a practicing Catholic who attended Mass regularly, but never really believed in healing miracles. I thought those stories were from medieval times or places where medical care was poor, Maria told investigators. I never thought miracles like that actually happened to regular people in modern America. 3 weeks ago, Maria's mother visited from Mexico and brought her a gift, a small relic card of Carlo Acutis containing a third-class relic, a piece of fabric that had touched a first-class relic of the saint. Maria's mother had been following Carlo's story and knew Maria was struggling with Sofia's condition. She told me about Carlo's love for the Eucharist and his special care for young people, Maria explained. She suggested I pray a novena to him for Sofia. Maria was skeptical but desperate enough to try. That evening, she researched Carlo Acutis online and learned his story. The teenage boy who loved Jesus in the Eucharist created a website cataloging Eucharistic miracles and died at 15 from leukemia. She read about the 2 miracles that led to his canonization, both involving children with seemingly impossible medical conditions. Something in those stories gave her a flicker of hope. On September 15th, Maria began praying a novena to Carlo Acutis. Each evening after Sofia went to bed, Maria would kneel beside her daughter's bed, hold the relic card over Sofia's legs, and pray a simple prayer. Carlo, you loved children and you loved Jesus. Please ask Jesus to heal my daughter, help her walk, show us that miracles still happen. Carlos, Sofia's father, watched his wife pray each night but didn't participate. I'm not religious, Carlos admitted in his statement. I thought Maria was grasping at straws. I didn't want to give her false hope, but I didn't stop her because I understood she needed to feel like she was doing something. If this story is resonating because you've felt that desperation of a parent who would try anything to help their child, share this video right now. Emma's miracle could give hope to thousands of families facing similar impossibilities. For 8 nights, Rachel prayed faithfully. Nothing changed. Emma woke each morning with the same limitations, the same weak muscles, the same inability to support her own weight. On September 23rd, the final night of the novena, Rachel felt discouraged. She'd prayed with as much faith as she could muster, but Emma was not healed. That night, Rachel did something different. She gathered every medical record documenting Emma's condition: MRI scans, neurological assessments, physical therapy reports, and placed them in a stack on Emma's bed. She laid the relic card of Carlo Acutis on top of the medical records. Then she prayed with an intensity she'd never experienced before. "Carlo, I know you can hear me. I know you're in heaven with Jesus. These papers say my daughter will never walk. Doctors say it's impossible, but I'm asking you to prove them wrong. I'm begging you to intercede for Emma. Show Jesus these records. Show him this little girl who deserves to run and play like other children. Please, Carlo, please ask Jesus to heal her." Rachel prayed for over an hour. She cried. She begged. She told Carlo everything about Emma: her personality, her laugh, her frustration at not being able to do what other children could do. When she finally finished praying, she felt emotionally drained, but strangely peaceful. She kissed Emma goodnight and went to bed. The next morning, September 24th, Rachel woke to an unusual sound. Footsteps, small, unsteady footsteps in the hallway outside her bedroom. She sat up, confused. David was still asleep beside her. The only other person in the house was Emma, and Emma couldn't walk. Rachel got out of bed and opened the door. Emma was standing in the hallway, one hand on the wall for balance, smiling at her mother. "Mama, look, I can walk." Rachel's knees nearly gave out. She called for David, her voice shaking. David rushed into the hallway and froze. Their daughter, who 24 hours earlier couldn't stand without support, was standing independently in the hallway. As they watched, Emma took 3 wobbly steps toward her mother before Rachel caught her in her arms. Both parents were crying, not understanding what they were witnessing. Carlos, the skeptic, kept saying, "This isn't possible. This can't be happening." Maria was praising God and thanking Carlo Acutis over and over. Comment below if you're crying right now hearing Sophia's story. Sometimes the only response to miracles is tears of gratitude and awe. The family spent that morning watching Sophia explore her new ability. She walked from room to room, delighted and amazed. She fell several times. Her gait was unsteady, her balance imperfect, but she would get up and try again. The determination that had frustrated her for 5 years, when her body wouldn't cooperate, was now driving her to walk everywhere. Carlos, despite his atheism, insisted they go immediately to the hospital. Something impossible just happened. We need medical documentation. At Cedars Sinai Medical Center, Sophia was examined by Dr. Jennifer Chen, the pediatric neurologist who had been treating her since birth. Dr. Chen's notes from that examination document her shock. Patient demonstrates motor function that is medically inconsistent with diagnosed cerebral palsy. Previous examinations showed significant hypotonia and motor impairment. Patient could not walk independently or maintain standing position without support. Current examination shows patient walking independently with unsteady but functional gait. Muscle tone improved dramatically. Motor control present that was absent in all previous examinations. Dr. Chen ordered new MRI scans and neurological testing. The results showed that Sophia's underlying cerebral palsy hadn't changed. The neurological damage was still present on imaging, but somehow Sophia's brain had found new pathways to control movement. Dr. Chen told the Martinez family, "I cannot explain this medically. The damage that prevented Sophia from walking is still there on the scans, but she's walking anyway. Her brain has somehow bypassed that damage. I've never seen anything like this in 30 years of pediatric neurology." The Martinez family contacted their parish priest, Father Roberto, and told him everything: the novena, the prayer, the relic, Sophia's sudden ability to walk. Father Roberto documented their account and contacted the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. Within 48 hours, an investigative team was assembled. The investigation team includes medical experts, a theologian, and an experienced investigator of claimed miracles. They've interviewed the family multiple times. They've reviewed all of Sophia's medical records from birth through the present. They've examined video evidence. The family had been recording Sophia's physical therapy sessions for months, providing clear documentation of her previous inability to walk, and they captured her first independent steps on Carlos's phone. Share this video with medical professionals, physical therapists, parents of special needs children, and anyone who needs to see proof that God still does the impossible in our modern world. The medical evidence is compelling. Sophia's condition before September 24th is thoroughly documented through years of medical records. Her sudden improvement that morning is equally well documented. Dr. Chen's statement alone carries significant weight, a respected neurologist with no religious motivation to fabricate or exaggerate, openly admitting she has no medical explanation for what occurred. But perhaps the most powerful evidence is the testimony of Sophia herself. At 5 years old, she doesn't understand the theological or medical complexities. She only knows that before she couldn't walk, and now she can. When asked what happened, Sophia says simply, "I prayed to Carlo and Jesus made my legs work." The timing is undeniable. The novena concluded on the night of September 23rd. Maria prayed intensely that final night. Sophia woke the next morning, able to walk. The causal connection, novena to Carlo Acutis, followed immediately by healing, is exactly the pattern the Church looks for when investigating potential miracles. Sophia's healing has already produced spiritual fruit beyond her physical improvement. Carlos, the atheist father, has started attending Mass with his wife and daughter. "I watched something happen that science can't explain," Carlos told Father Roberto. "My daughter was medically incapable of walking. Now she walks. If God did this for my daughter, I need to know more about him." The Martinez family's extended family has been affected. Maria's mother, who gave her the relic card, has started a prayer group dedicated to Carlo Acutis in her parish in Mexico. Neighbors who've heard Sophia's story are asking questions about faith and miracles. Sophia's physical therapist, not Catholic herself, told the family, "Whatever happened to Sophia, it wasn't physical therapy. We'd been working for 3 years with minimal progress. This is beyond anything medicine accomplished." Sophia continues to improve. 5 weeks after her healing, she's walking confidently, running short distances, and learning to climb stairs. Her gait is still slightly unsteady, but progress continues daily. Physical therapists are working with her not to teach her to walk, she already can, but to strengthen muscles and improve coordination. The relic card that Maria used during the novena has taken on special significance for the family. They keep it in a small frame in Sophia's room. Sophia sometimes takes it to bed with her and tells her parents she's talking to Carlo. Maria reports that Sophia seems to have a relationship with Carlo Acutis, talking about him as if he's a real friend she knows personally. Subscribe and turn on notifications because the official investigation will take months, possibly years, before the Church makes any determination. We'll bring you updates as the case progresses and keep you informed about Sophia's continued recovery. The broader Catholic community's response to Sophia's story has been overwhelming. Since the family gave permission for their story to be shared, thousands of people have contacted them expressing hope, sharing their own prayer intentions, and asking for advice about praying to Carlo Acutis. The Martinez family has become unintentional evangelists, sharing their daughter's healing with anyone who asks. Father Roberto has used Sophia's story in multiple homilies, emphasizing that miracles aren't just historical events, but contemporary realities. God is still in the miracle business, he tells his congregation. Sophia Martinez is living proof. A 5-year-old girl who should be in a wheelchair is running around her house because a teenage saint in heaven heard her mother's prayer and asked Jesus to heal her. The medical community's response has been mixed. Some doctors, like Dr. Chen, openly acknowledge they cannot explain Sophia's sudden improvement. Others suggest possible natural explanations. Perhaps previous diagnoses were incorrect, or perhaps Sophia's brain development reached a critical threshold that allowed function to emerge. But these explanations struggle to account for the timing. Why would such improvement occur on the specific morning after the novena concluded? The investigative commission will examine all possible natural explanations before considering supernatural ones. That's the Church's standard protocol. They must rule out misdiagnosis, spontaneous improvement, delayed development, and any other medical possibilities. Only when natural explanations are exhausted does the Church consider calling something a miracle. However, several factors make Sophia's case particularly strong. First, her cerebral palsy was diagnosed by multiple specialists and confirmed through imaging. Second, her lack of progress over 5 years suggests natural improvement was unlikely. Third, the suddenness of the change, unable to walk one day, walking the next, doesn't match typical patterns of neurological recovery. Fourth, the timing immediately following the novena establishes clear causal connection. If the Church eventually confirms Sophia's healing as a miracle attributable to Carlo Acutis' intercession, it would be his third confirmed miracle. The first two led to his beatification and canonization. A third would further establish his powerful intercession and could encourage even more people to seek his help in impossible situations. But the Martinez family isn't waiting for official confirmation. They know what happened. Their daughter couldn't walk. They prayed to Carlo Acutis. Their daughter can walk. That's enough for them. Maria told investigators, "The Church can take as long as it needs to investigate. I don't need them to tell me this was a miracle. I know it was. I watched it happen to my daughter." The family has committed to raising Sophia with awareness of what happened to her. They want her to understand that her healing wasn't random luck or medical mystery. It was God's response to prayer through Carlo Acutis' intercession. They hope Sophia will grow up with deep faith and maybe even a calling to help others who face medical impossibilities. Sophia's physical therapist has written a detailed report documenting the before and after of Sophia's condition. Her statement includes specific measurements of muscle tone, range of motion, and functional ability before September 24th compared to after. The contrast is stark. In every measurable way, Sophia improved suddenly and dramatically in ways that therapy hadn't accomplished over years of sessions. The video evidence provides visual confirmation of the transformation. Footage from September shows Sophia unable to maintain standing position without significant support. Footage from October shows Sophia walking, running, and playing like a typical 5-year-old. The difference is undeniable and striking. Share this video with anyone facing medical impossibilities, anyone whose child has been given a hopeless prognosis, anyone who needs evidence that prayer to saints produces real results in real lives. Other families with children who have cerebral palsy have contacted the Martinez family asking how to pray to Carlo Acutis. Maria and Carlos have created a simple guide based on their experience. Obtain a relic if possible, pray a novena with specific requests, have faith but accept God's will, and look for signs of intervention even if they're not dramatic healings. The guide emphasizes that Sophia's healing took time, 9 days of faithful prayer before anything happened. It stresses the importance of specificity. Maria didn't pray vaguely for help, but specifically for Sophia to walk. And it acknowledges that not every prayer receives the answer we want, but every prayer is heard and answered according to God's wisdom. Sophia's story has sparked increased devotion to Carlo Acutis throughout California and beyond. Prayer cards of Carlo are being distributed rapidly. Parishes are organizing novenas. Parents of children with special needs are gathering in prayer groups to ask Carlo's intercession for their own children. Whether or not all these prayers result in dramatic healings, they're fostering faith, community, and hope. The Martinez family has been invited to share Sophia's story at various Catholic events. They're careful to give glory to God and Carlo rather than seeking attention for themselves. "This isn't about us," Maria says. "This is about what God can do when we trust Him with our impossible situations. We want people to know that saints aren't just historical figures. They're alive, they're listening, and they can help." Sophia's healing occurred just weeks before the October 19th canonization of 7 new saints by Pope Leo XIV. The timing seems providential. a reminder that the communion of saints is active, powerful, and constantly growing. Carlo Acutis, canonized recently, is already interceding powerfully. The 7 about to be canonized will join that ministry. The Church's treasury of intercessors continues expanding. For families facing situations like Sophia's, the message is clear. There is always hope. Medical science can explain many things, but not everything. When doctors say impossible, heaven says, "Watch what I can do." When prognosis is hopeless, prayer remains powerful. When the situation seems permanent, God can change it in a moment. Sofia Martinez's story is not yet officially declared a miracle. The investigation continues. But to her family, to the witnesses, to the medical professionals who've examined her, and to the thousands who've heard her story, the conclusion is clear. Something impossible became possible because a mother prayed to a teenage saint, and heaven answered. Saint Carlo Acutis, lover of Jesus and friend to suffering children, thank you for hearing Maria's desperate prayer. Thank you for interceding with Jesus for little Sophia, who couldn't walk but needed to. Thank you for this visible, documented, undeniable miracle that proves you're alive in heaven and actively helping those who call on you. We ask you to continue interceding for all children with cerebral palsy, all children with conditions doctors call impossible, all parents who watch their children suffer and feel powerless to help. Show them what you showed the Martinez family, that nothing is impossible with God. Hear the prayers of desperate parents, bring their requests to Jesus, and when it serves God's glory and their good, work miracles that prove heaven is real. Prayer is powerful and saints truly intercede for us. Help us trust like Maria trusted, pray like she prayed, and believe like she believed. That you hear us, you care, and you can help. Amen.